Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. We are continuing to rip up the old teak wood, and now we're forward on the starboard side at the extreme forward end of the superstructure, parallel to turret number 2. And we have just uncovered the forward triple 20mm gun tub. This is one of the most reviled gun positions on the battleship because it completely gets in the way and it ships a lot of water. So obviously we've got the two positions on each side at the bow, but then this is the next most forwardmost, and it is where all of the water from the bow starts to come together in one place as it's going down the narrow part of the ship towards the gunwale. So this gun tub just held water really badly, and it extends from right here very close to the superstructure all the way to the railing with the shield around it. And of course these gun tubs have the shield in the front, and then they often have ready service ammunition lockers at the back. So it takes up a lot of space here on the deck where it's already very narrow and there isn't a lot of room to walk around. In fact, on Missouri, between September of 1945 and October of 1945, so between the surrender ceremony and the time she shows up in New York Harbor for Fleet Week, her crew cuts out this gun position entirely. As far as I can tell, the other three Iowas retain theirs. However, when they start reducing the number of 20mm guns post-war, all four of them delete this position. Even though they keep an eclectic number of single gun positions, a single gun mount, it's usually twin guns at this point, all over the ship, this position is intentionally deleted. So, some cool things we can see here. One, this circle right here is where the forwardmost of the three guns went. And you can see that they're at an angle that is parallel to the angle of the superstructure. Another cool thing, if you look right down here, you notice how this deck is less rusty. You can see this is raised a little bit here, and it's got green paint. That's a zinc silica paint that is from the 1980s. So we know when we rip this board up that that's one of the ones that was replaced in the 80s. Many of these other boards around here might date back older because they do not have that 1980s primer under it. Another cool thing that also shouts 80s is over here, we've got some of the rubberized roofing compound that they bedded the wood in. So you can see that there's an adhesive board right here. That may well point to a 1980s board, whereas the older styles of boards were bedded in like a water-excluding cosmoline type solution. So as we continue looking down here, you can see that here is a patch like where there was clearly some changes made. You can see that this seems to be older stuff. There's more rust pack under it. And you can, here's a great one. You can see in addition to this rust pack, that's a little bit greasy, there's a little bit of a rainbow pattern here. So that is indicative of the cosmoline oil that the wood would have been bedded in. So this board here was likely an older plank, whereas some of these ones around it are newer. Over here, we can see a square where a ready service ammunition locker was. So you have gun, ammunition locker. Here's the second gun position here. And you can see that the gun tub continues all the way out to the rail. So this all becomes dead space. I should point out that these gun tubs do have notches cut in the bottom so water can drain, but typically Iowas are shipping so much water on the bow that it's not draining out of these holes particularly well. Here's a very other clear example of a zinc silicate primer. Another very clear example of a rubber roofing compound. So you can see that it is a mix. They never replaced the full deck in this area. They very much replaced one plank at a time as individual boards went bad. Probably none of the boards here date back to World War II, because at some point as you can see from the gun tub right here, they cut it flush and deck it over. Not all of the gun tubs have wood decking in them, but this one almost certainly did. The wood was, the gun shield was cut flush and the wood was now running fore and aft, so probably in the late 40s or early 50s when this position is fully deleted, they end up redecking this whole area. So probably not World War II wood, but still likely done in the original fashion, except for the individual boards that seem to be replaced in the 80s. As we continue down, yeah, here's a 20 millimeter position right here on the side of the ship. And this is one of those where, like, this is a really good position. If we were worried about small boats or something, we are right here. In fact, here you can see this tripod is for a 50 caliber gun that's probably added in the 80s, possibly as early as the 60s. So this is clearly a very good position for defending against small boats. And yet, because this blocks the walkway and stops water from being able to shed off the ship, these guns are removed despite an ideal position. Well, here's some other great examples of, you can see the rainbowing effect on the deck from the oil right next to the zinc silicate from the 1980s. Here's where a couple of boards were replaced at once. So this section of deck really illustrates well how the Navy never redecked the whole ship. As far as I know, Wisconsin's the only Iowa that ever got fully redecked at some point in her career. It seems like the ship's crew and even the shipyards are just replacing individual boards as the ship is being reactivated or used in service. And the archaeology that we're able to do here seems to back that up for at least New Jersey. I'll be interested to see what the other Iowas are finding as they're redecking. We've done several videos on the teak wood. Some of them are in the description below. We're not going to link all of them. One day we may end up having a teak deck playlist for those of you who really need help falling asleep at night. But if you're interested in the process we're using as we restore the ship and replace that wood, there's some videos down there. If you are interested in buying some of the wood that we have ripped up from the ship, there's a link in the description to the ship store. We cannot sell most pieces of the ship. However, our contract with the Navy specifically stipulates the teak wood and the studs that we remove when redecking the ship can be sold, and that the money that we make off of that goes back into redecking the ship. So not only are you getting an original piece of the battleship, you are also helping support both redecking the ship and me getting to geek out on the archaeology we get to do here. At this point, we've ripped up fully 3/4 of the 43,000 square feet of teak on an Iowa-class battleship. What are some things that you think is cool that we found in the past, or that you would be interested in us finding proof of via the archaeology? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. And there's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue to donate to support the ship and our ongoing restoration. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the ship and the museum. Thanks for watching.